Speakers with a connection to CCPS will be allotted to address the board for the allotted 3 minutes. Only those speakers that have registered online and have been notified by the communications department will be permitted to speak. Priority will be given to those citizens that are addressing the board about an item on the current agenda. Citizens not appearing in person for public comment can write to the board through email or U.S. mail. Public participation is not intended to be a question and answer session. However, if citizens have specific questions, the superintendent will assign a staff member to make contact during the board meeting to arrange a time to respond to questions. The superintendent and the board reserve the right to correct misinformation presented as factual after the conclusion of the public participation period. Statements to the board should relate to a recent agenda item, an agenda item that is expected to appear in the future, or a matter of general policy over which the board has authority. Personnel matters, pending appeals, the actions or statements of individual staff, or items related to employee negotiations are not appropriate topics and may not be discussed. The board has scheduled time on the agenda for public participation at approximately 5:15 p.m. The board reserves the right to limit the number of speakers on a particular topic so that all topics may be addressed. Additionally, the board retains the discretion to allow additional speakers as it deems appropriate. The board is allowing no more than an hour for public participation. Comments are limited to 3 minutes or less. All comments should be directed to the board members at the dais. Citizens may only address the board with their individual comments. Citizens may not stand in for another person or group and read their comments. When the allotted time expires, the speaker is permitted to complete a sentence. Citizens may leave any handouts for board members on the table at the back of the boardroom. Please do not approach the dais. Additionally, the public may not display signs or posters during the board meeting. In lieu of signs, or if you are unable to complete your comments in the allotted time, individuals are encouraged to submit remarks to the board in writing. Those seated in the audience are asked to be respectful of the speaker and refrain from commenting to the speaker or to the board members. Our first speaker this evening is Jordan McCollin. And if I mispronounce your name, please correct me.
Hello. My name is Jordan. I am a mother of 5 children in the Carroll County Public School System, and I came today to talk about a very serious and dangerous situation that is happening at Manchester Elementary in my pre-K daughter's classroom. My daughter has been attacked a half a dozen times by another peer in the classroom, and I'm not talking about pinching and shoving and even slapping and biting. That's normal at a 5-year-old age. My daughter has been maliciously attacked. She has had her hair ripped out. She has had her chest, she's been forcefully kicked in the chest. She's had her hands stomped on. She has been punched in the back of the head. She's been ripped back by the back of her hair, and her eyes scratched in an attempt to have her eyes gouged out. And these are only just a few of the around 50 attacks that have happened amongst other classmates in the classroom. And I'm here because I've emailed all of you personally. I've emailed every person that I can think of to try to get this issue taken care of because the attacks are still happening today. You know, there's a law in place that protects kids between the ages of pre-K and second grade, that they cannot be suspended or expelled from school. And at the end of the day, what needs to happen to our kids before this kid's removed? You know, all it takes is for a child to hit another child, for them to fall and crack their head, and now they're dead on the sidewalk. You know, I'm talking about 5-year-olds here, but it doesn't take much. And you know, I haven't been given a clear answer from anybody what it will take before something is truly done. Because adding staff to a classroom that are wearing things to protect themselves to try to control this child and removing the child for hours at a time in a suspension room is not a way of dealing with this type of behavior. You're essentially running a pre-K classroom like a prison. Our children are not only witness to these attacks and this behavior, but they are victims of it. The teachers have been victims of it. The administrators have been victims of it. And I'm at a point where I feel like as many people as possible need to hear the truth about what's truly going on in these classrooms, because people are forced to hold their tongue and not say anything. And at the end of the day, it's our teachers' jobs and our administrators' jobs to keep our kids safe in the classroom. You know, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I've raised all my kids up until they went into these schools. And I have a child who's going to be 14 years old, so she's been in Carroll County Public Schools for quite some time. I've never had an issue like this. So I believe that it needs to be taken care of immediately. Thank you.
Next speaker is John Carver.
Good evening. Thanks for enabling me to share some thoughts here this evening. I'm a dad to 6 adopted kids from overseas and granddad to 4 kids. Starting at the end of last year through the beginning of this year, my grandson, who is a student in the pre-K class in Manchester Elementary, has been attacked up to that time 6 times by the same student that was referred to earlier. So I decided to have a meeting with the people in charge of the school and the mom of this student. And during our conversation, mom referred to the attacking student as an alpha, A-L-P-H-A, alpha. So I was taken aback by that description of this child, and it was kind of alluded to the fact that this is how she is and this is how this child behaves. So I left the meeting after about an hour or so with a little bit of hope that things were going to improve. Well, less than a week after that, my grandson was attacked again. These attacks have impacted our family in a big way. A member of my family, an adult now, was attacked by a few adults over the years, very, in a very dangerous way, black and blue bruises and cuts and marks and things like that. So when my grandson is attacked, it hits really close to home. I've lost a daughter who died. So these issues are very close to me because, you know, I can forecast that if this child continues to attack kids and or adults later in life, people are going to die. It's just a matter of time. So I decided to find out if there's other families that have been impacted by this same student online. So I was able to communicate and have been communicating with other households that have been attacked by the same student. None of these attacks have been prompted by the students who've been attacked. They've just been out of the blue attacking these kids in a variety of ways. This is obviously a dangerous event, running out of time quickly. There's psychological damage that's being done to these kids who are being attacked. Some of these kids don't want to go to school anymore because of this one student. It's a matter of time before any student in this class or other classes as this child grows older are going to be attacked in a more violent way, a knife, whatever, that's going to end up these kids getting hurt bad. People like this child are going to grow up to be violent people. We've seen them on the news multiple times. In addition, kids who have been attacked across the United States end up killing themselves at times. I don't want this to happen to any kid in this county ever. So something's got to be done quickly because too many of these kids are getting hurt consistently. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Andrew Millam.
Thanks for having me today. I'll start off by saying that I've always been a proponent for this school system. Not only have I been a proponent verbally, but I've made monetary contributions as well. Back in 2020, a group of myself and 6 other business owner friends that I have contributed $7,200 to the school system to eradicate the lunch debt accumulated by the children. $6,000 of that went to eradicate it, $1,200 went to a safety net account for if it were to happen again. So I've literally put my money where my mouth is. So I'll keep this quick. I'm touching on another issue, or an issue that has already been touched on at Manchester Elementary within the pre-K class. Obviously, there are kids that are getting hurt. My daughter is one of them. There's been a lot of people putting their hands up in the air about this issue. There's nothing we can do. We're sorry. I don't find that acceptable. When kids are getting hurt, something needs to be done at some level. And that does not seem to be the case because these attacks continue. These issues have affected us not only as parents, but it's affected our kids as well. My child that attends that class has now regressed in potty training, which, according to a psychologist, has been typical, like a traumatic response of regression. She's urinated at school every day for 3 weeks now. That hasn't happened since she was potty trained at 2.5. These things are affecting her, and they're affecting us. With this issue, especially troubling that the attacking child's mother works at the school. It seems to be quite a conflict of interest there, and we don't know what to think. We really just would urge you guys to please do everything in your power to help protect the majority instead of the minority here. That's all. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ryan Sawalski.
It's Zawistowski, but that's all right.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak at this public discussion. I believe that this is something that's needed more now than ever before. As you know, my name is Ryan Zawistowski. I'm a current resident of Carroll County and have children in Carroll County Public Schools. I've been a resident of Carroll County for 31 years. I'm an Eagle Scout, a soccer coach for a local rec council where I coach 2 age groups, and a parent of 2 elementary school students. I love my kids, and I'm here to be a voice for them, as well as other students that have experienced these issues in the past. We collectively as a community have an obligation to educate and protect the future generation of this country. We pay taxes to the government to provide quality education in a safe environment. As a parent with kids currently in the school system, I have to hold the school system accountable for upholding their end of the deal. I realize that some of these rules that are put in place by legislation down in Annapolis and D.C. undermine the quality education and the safety of our students. This doesn't mean that we should stand idle. I have multiple occurrences that I've been witness to and heard from other parents this school year alone with my child being the receiving end of bullying and unacceptable behavior by fellow students in their classes. These actions include unprovoked blindside attacks, unprovoked hitting, kids licking their hands and wiping it on my children's faces, thinking that it's funny. I've never been made aware of this stuff when it happened. It was several days after the fact. I actually had to talk to the head of the elementary schools in order to get the principal to reach out to me. This happened 4 days after the incident happened. Neither the teacher, the support person, or the school administration have been able to apply any real consequences to the student for these actions. This student has had multiple offenses. Basically, I deem this completely unacceptable as a parent, as I feel like you should as well. Any of these things that my children have had to deal with, if they were adults, would have possibly resulted in them being arrested and put in jail. It's considered assault. Why do we allow children to continue with bad behavior with zero consequences? Why do school administrators, teachers, and sometimes Board of Ed members have their hands tied? Is it purely a funding issue that comes into play if only these policies are implemented? We're allowing children to see that there's no consequences, minimal consequences, or at all for serious actions. This does not harbor good behavior for the rest of their childhood and into their adult life. Correcting bad behavior at a young age is crucial. As a soccer coach, I've got to deal with it, especially after school. Run laps. You don't want to listen to what I have to do? Run laps. And it's not just the team, it's the entire class. Basically, I think it's your job as the Board of Education to act in the best interests of these future generations. I urge you to push back against the state and against federal policy and basically advocate for our children. It's not fair that they have to deal with getting beat up in class for no reason. I demand better. Obviously, we demand better. Now it's time for you guys to do better and advocate for that. Thank you.